All right, for 2-point perspective, you need to have 2 vanishing points instead of 1. So we are going to start, and I'm going to write in pen for most of this, and then keep in mind that when you do it, you're going to want to do it in pencil because you might want to erase some things or in case you mess up or anything. You're going to do a rough draft of this in your sketchbook before you do a nice large final draft like this. Anyway, I'm going to start with my horizon line, and I'm not actually going to draw a line there. I'm just going to make 2 points. Those are going to be my vanishing points, and you'll notice I'm putting them pretty close to the edge of my paper, and I want them kind of small. I exaggerated them just a little bit for the sake of the video so that you can see what I'm pointing to here and here. All right? So, the next thing that I'm going to draw, we're doing a city street here, so I'm going to draw the bottom of my buildings, just so that everybody's got a home base down here. And it doesn't have to come to the center. Mine sort of does. It can be a little off-center. That might be interesting. Bring it all the way back up here. So that's going to be the bottom of my buildings right here. My first building is going to start right here on this corner. So, right there. So I'm going to draw a line up, and I don't want it to go all the way to the top of the paper. Just wanted to make sure it's as vertical as I can. And bring it up a little ways, like that. Then I'm going to connect the top line here to the vanishing point, but not all the way. This is basically going to be the rooftop of my building. So bring it here. Just draw it over like that. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. Bring it to the vanishing point. The easy thing about 2-point perspective is that most of your lines are going to be drawn to a vanishing point. If it's not going to a vanishing point, it's going to be perfectly vertical. As best as you can. Make a vertical line. There's the side of my building. And let me adjust that so you can see the whole thing. Here's the bottom, the back side of my building here, or the left side, like this. So, there, now you can see everything. So there's the whole building. The first one is where you start to see where everything's going to fit into space. The second one, I'm just going to have it right next door here, actually touching this building. So they're going to have a party wall. They're going to share a wall. I'm going to make it a little bit shorter. And then I'm going to create a vertical line here. Where is it? There's my mark. Like that. That's pretty vertical. Doing pretty good here. All right, so that's how I would make 2 buildings next to each other. Notice anything that's above the vanishing point, I'm not going to be able to see the top of it. So I'm not going to see the rooftop up here. Next, I'm going to do a building next door on this side. Only for this building, they're not going to touch walls. I'm going to make it a little bit taller still. So we're going to bring it up here like this. And I'm leaving a space here. So then I'm going to draw the right side rooftop. And then I'm going to do my other wall, another vertical line. Well, let's see where it needs to go to first. We'll do going back to this other vanishing point. There's the rooftop on that side. And then a vertical line here. Now the interesting thing about this, if there's an opening between the buildings, as there is here, the space, you also need to draw the walkway between the 2 buildings. So right now it looks like this building goes all the way down and it doesn't end until it gets to here. You're going to want to close that up by connecting the front corner of the building here to the vanishing point like that. Now there's a space between the buildings. Okay, for the sake of time, I'm just going to put some more just little lines here so that I get some more buildings. You should have Oh, a few more. Use a straight edge when you do it. I just want to make it look like there's more of a city here. And the farther you go away from the center, the more intense those lines become. So if you make it really long, it's going to look like a really, really long building. For example, if I add a little space here, create this side of this building to that vanishing point like this, and like this. The problem then is what I was talking about is the length of the building. So if I've got it going to this vanishing point and I make it really long like this, trying to like save time or something, then when I add this vertical line, we end up with this very irregular shape here, and it looks kind of unbelievable, unless it was a Target Superstore maybe. But if it came from here to here or all the way to the end, it just looks insane. So don't make your buildings too long. The next thing I'm going to show you is how to do a series of windows. Now, I know I've used a pen for a lot of this. I'm going to use a pencil for some of this upcoming so that I can erase it. And I want them to be even. So measure, well, I guess that's not going to be even. I want a little bit bigger here. Because this side's closer to me than that side is, so it's going to be a little bit bigger. Just a little bit bigger, not that much. Measure down like that. And I'm going to do the top of the windows, starting pretty high up. And then I'm going to do, here's the height of that window. Then I'm going to leave a space for the next floor. And here's the next window. See how I keep coming back to this focal point right here, or this vanishing point? That's the only way that I even move my ruler, is against that. So one more little story like this, and my last set of windows, look, it actually comes below this vanishing point over here. Once you're below the horizon, that's when that happens. Okay, so to find the center of this, if I don't want these to be 4 long windows, but 8 tall ones, to find the center of anything in a perspective drawing, you'd mark an X from corner to corner. That way I know exactly how far between these 2 windows is halfway, and I can mark on either side of the X to create a central line. So see where my X crosses right here? It's really faint on the camera because it's in pencil. I'm going to mark my vertical line on either side of that, like this. And then you've got all of these squares that look like at least they line up. For the sake of time, I'm just going to outline them in my pen here. Make relatively straight lines, but you, especially in your final draft, are going to do this still with pencil, and you're going to make sure that you use a straight edge for every line that you draw. Because look, even for me, they're not perfectly straight. But I want to get through this tutorial and not waste too much of your time. So they line up pretty well. Then I can take my eraser and erase away all the pencil marks. And we'll call that good enough for now. So there, I've got windows that make sense in perspective. The next thing I'm going to show you is how to label a building. So let's say I'm going to label this, maybe this is the James Clemens Dormitorium, and there's a store downstairs or something, I don't know. we're going to write James up here. And I'm going to show you how to do it correctly, and I'm going to show you how to do it incorrectly. So this is the first one where I'm going to do it correctly. What I'm going to do, and I'm going to show you in mostly blocky letters to begin with at least, I'm going to do 3 lines, kind of like when you were in elementary school first learning how to write. You needed a top line, a middle line, and a bottom line. So for James, and here I'll do it in pen for this, all of my vertical lines, like the J has that vertical, I'm going to keep it vertical like this, J. This is slightly tilted, that's fine, A. And then look, that needs to cross going to the vanishing point this way. M. Staying vertical here with the E. And then all of the horizontal lines in E go towards the vanishing point this way. James. So there, now James is written with vertical letters that don't look like they're falling off. And I've smudged my pen. Another good reason not to write in pen. Okay, here's what I see a lot of students do, and this is what you are not supposed to do. This looks bad. Next, we're going to write Clemens, and we're going to write it the way that you're used to writing letters, which is, oh, here. It's going to be perpendicular to this line, right? So I would want to write it like this. C, L, E, M, E, N, S. See how it looks like it's tilted somehow, or like it's going to fall off the building? It doesn't look like it's actually printed on the side of the building there. So this is what you want to avoid. Don't do this. Instead, we'll do one more shot at it to make sure that you really understand. We'll put our 3 lines there just to make sure that we've got it. And then we'll go back to making sure that everything is vertical. Get you some vertical lines in there if you need to remember what vertical looks like. So just so I don't forget what vertical means to me. So C, L, E, M, E.
This flight is over. Please proceed to your next destination.
And S. Vertical. James Clemens. Or Clemens James. So don't do that. Last thing you need to know is how to do a sidewalk. So we're going to bring this down like this, and we're going to bring this over. All the squares from your sidewalk are going to attach to the opposite vanishing point as the side that they're on. Oops, I messed up on this side a little bit. That's okay. Look at the point. So for example, all of these squares, the lines will go to this vanishing point, and all of these squares, the line will go to this vanishing point. And the way we check that is like this. I'm going to measure this one. I'm going to remeasure it here and then make it a little smaller. Then I'll measure that one, measure it here, make it a little smaller. And each time I go to measure it, I make it just a little bit smaller, and that helps it look like it's in perspective. So I measure that, put it here, bring it back, and a little bit smaller there. Okay, for the hopes of not getting tedious, we're going to go ahead and start there. Here, there, and again moving it while keeping my pen point, or for, in your case, pencil point on that fulcrum, that vanishing point, so that it doesn't move too much. All right, and see all of these now are getting smaller as they go along. Oh, forgot this one.
Your flight is about to depart.
So make this have some thickness this way. You can make a vertical line at every other one if you want to do that. You could do like a grate right this way. You could have you a horizon line back here. And add maybe a park in the background. It's your world. You figure it out. Okay, and I've got a class coming in, so that's got to be the end. Everything after this, if you need help, ask. And if you can't ask the person next to you, then you can ask me.